In this video, I'll be trying to make an impossible level, but I only have 2 hours to complete it, which is going to be pretty difficult as someone who barely used the editor. There are 3 rules. The level should be harder than the current top 1 society. The gameplay needs to be interesting, which means making the entire level a wave spam corridor is not allowed, and I can't make any changes to the level after the 2 hours are done apart from fixing skips and impossible clicks. And if I don't stick to these rules, I fail the challenge. There will also be a full showcase of the level at the end of the video. Before I started the challenge, I gave the level a name by just copying the name of the song, then I pressed the play button beginning the challenge. I immediately opened the editor and started setting the offset for the song. I decided to start the level in 2x speed mini UFO just because what level actually does that, I genuinely can't think of one. So I just wanted to try something different. The gameplay for the first part of the level were these UFO double clicks, which seemed pretty fun to play. At least they would be pretty fun if they weren't absolutely impossible to do without no clip. I also added some gravity portal gameplay to this because it's a UFO part and that's just like mandatory. If I have no ideas for gameplay like right here, I just click to the song and just build around my hitboxes, which works quite a lot of the time. I also just added a bunch of random saws around my hitboxes as well, because that's just really quick and lazy to do, and that's just what to do when you're on a time limit. After I was done with that UFO section, I started building the ship, which was literally just 3 orbs. That's literally all it was, but they're still really difficult to do. You have to do a really hard click for the first one, then like a micro click off a green orb, and the third one isn't really that hard, but it's still a pretty difficult part. This is 5 seconds long so far. Okay, I'm gonna try and get it to like 40-ish seconds, and then I'm just gonna keep buffing it. After the ship, I built a cube section with 2 frame perfects, and then just some random buffer click for green orb. I really don't know why I made that so easy. After that, I added blue orb spam that resembled Death Corridor, but then I thought it was kind of boring, so I added a straight fly, which is arguably as boring. After the straight fly, I started making a ball section, which consisted of just 2 clicks, and it resembled that one pink orb in Sonic Wave, but it was just a lot harder. Next, I started building a wave section because wave sections are just the easiest thing to build ever. All you have to do is add slopes and it'll be good. I did start this off with spam that gets tighter and tighter because I just kind of thought it'd be cool. I then added a mini wave part, which was the same type of generic slope gameplay. It was just really tight because it's just so easy to build. The next little segment I built may be the laziest one of all of them in this level. We're gonna have to get really lazy so we can actually get this done on time. Now we're finally at the drop. I decided to not use wave at the drop here because I use the same song as defeated circles, so I decided to do a duel instead, and this is 2 players, so it's gonna be real difficult. I started off by doing the cube at the bottom. I added just 2 spikes, a black orb and a mini portal, and then I just added a saw to try and buff it, and I just kind of hoped that it would work, but that click isn't really that difficult. Then at the top I added 1 random spike that it's just a buffer click. I don't know why I'm adding buffer clicks in an impossible level. It makes no sense at all. This is not supposed to be a long level, so the difficulty should be condensed. Eventually I just added some random jumps over spikes that were frame perfects, as well as another black orb click, and then I decided to make the bottom cube go up with the top cube. So now the mini and normal size cubes are both up top. With both the cubes on top, I made it so they both have to jump at the same time. I tried doing this by adding a row of spikes the mini cube had to jump over, and by adding saws in the air that the big cube had to try and avoid. But the problem with the saws is that their hitbox are just a lie, and they're actually way smaller than it says. After that, I had a pretty interesting idea for my gameplay. Here will be a toggle trigger to get rid of the obstacles, and you have to choose which cube to jump with based on things. This will remove like whatever's in front, right? So there's gonna be like just a wall of spikes, and you have to use mini because if you use big, you will jump into this saw. Yeah, and then if I did that with big cube, I die because I hit the saw. Mini kind of does has to jump here.
What?
Does has to jump. What am I saying, bro? Make it so that the big one can jump over, but the mini can't. Big was able to get over. Nope. Mini is definitely not getting through that. Okay. After I figured that out, I just did the same setup like 5 more times. For that, I placed down a blue orb, which leads the big cube down, and now we go into the ending of the duel. All right, and then here, big cube's gonna have to jump down, and I'm gonna have a gap that one small one can fit in. Perfect. Yeah, this is what I was going for. I'm gonna just make sure that you can actually do that click. Yep, that looks fine. I think that should work. The click was not fine. That was not possible at all. For the ending of the duel, I made a staircase, which makes both the cubes get closer and closer. I put down a blue orb that makes the mini cube at the top come down to become a big cube, and now both cubes have to hit a 240 FPS frame perfect at the exact same time. And now we transition into wave spam, which is more like slaughterhouse wave spam, but with big wave. Yeah, we're just gonna do spam. I'll make it like consistency spam though. Well, technically any wave spam consistency. Might have just made the hardest wave consistency to ever exist. Hold on. make it a little bit less difficult. After the spam, I started off another duel. I literally only built that spam just so I could put a start position after it, so I wouldn't have to go from the beginning of the other duel every single time I want to play test the level. For this duel, instead of doing 2 cubes, I made it a robot and a ball, which I thought was going to be more interesting. I basically made this duel the same as the last one, just starting off with a few simple clicks, eventually making both of the game modes go in together at the same time and at the same gravity. And then I just did the same toggle orb gimmick as before. Though the way I made the toggle orb section was kind of dumb, because the way I made it is that both game modes have to click at once instead of just one doing it, and the other one, like if you click it you die. Here both have to do it at once, so it's essentially just the same thing 3 times, which completely defeats the purpose of it. But you know, I was on a time limit, so I wasn't really thinking. After that, I began building the last cube. I decided to make it slow speed, as I just wanted to build as little as possible and just to be done so I could go back and edit other parts of the level. I think I synced the clicks to the song here pretty well, as well as making this weird mini portal gimmick where you have to be literally in the spike before you jump. And then I made the last click like a 240 FPS frame perfect UFO that sometimes you can't even do because you have to align yourself directly into it with the orbs that come before it. After adding some finishing touches to the ending, I started going back over the level and making changes. I currently have 25 minutes left, and now I have to figure out what's like too hard or too easy. So the first thing I see is that I forgot to put a dual portal here. Frame 1, I've already done something wrong. Incredible. Only 20% into the level, and I find out that I put this ball portal too close to the spikes, making this impossible, so I had to fix that real quick. I just did more small things like adding blocks like this just to prevent skips from being possible. Found that they could double click the blue orb here to come out as normal gravity when you go through that spike. So I placed down a toggle orb that took out the bottom saw here, so you had to be reverse gravity here, otherwise you die. The wave sections were also impossible, so I just had to nerf them a small bit. While going through the level, I realized I didn't buff that staircase that I made in the first duel. Oh, I still need to buff those clicks. No, wait, I forgot to do these. Hold on. No, this is bad. This is very bad. I also buffed the beginning of the ball section in the second duel because it was also really easy, at least for an impossible level, so I just buffed that real quick. And then that's about all I got done. Then the timer went off. There is a line that goes through and the timer's gone, so that is it. That's all. I can't change the level now. The only thing I did after the timer went off was put some spikes here just to make sure that there was no skips in this duel section. That was literally it. So did I complete the challenge? Well, let's go through the rules. Is it harder than Society? I can't tell. My hardest is Stalemate Redux, so I literally can't have an opinion on this. Did I do it all within 2 hours? Pretty much. I added one change which stopped skips, so that's within the rules. And was it original? Apart from a few wave spam parts, I would say it is. So challenge completed, maybe. I don't know. Someone who's actually good at the game could judge because I can't really tell. The wave spam right before the drop is probably impossible to do from zero, like at all. Some of these things are just so hard to do from zero, and it's 2-player as well. I don't know how many people are able to alt spam and do 2-player well, especially at this high of a level, because the spam is really hard and the 2-player sections have some impossible timings. I would say this is impossible for a human to do because despite it being 40 seconds, some things there's no way you can do consistently, especially like 2 to 40 FPS frame perfects at the same time. There's no way someone's doing that. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe, and here's the showcase of the level.